Dear friends, Satan never gives up his plot against God and his people. But we have an amazing God who never gives up to destroy Satan's plot and to protect his people. The story of Nehemiah and the Jews illustrates this important truth. You see, Ezra and Zerubbabel had accomplished major work of rebuilding the temple and the city. But the city walls of Jerusalem lay in ruins. So Nehemiah returned to Jerusalem in 444 BC to rebuild the walls. He was the cupbearer of King Artaxerxes. And this king appointed him governor of Judah and granted him permission to return to Jerusalem to rebuild the walls. When Nehemiah returned to Jerusalem, it was just like old times. The people of Judah were surrounded by their enemies on all four sides. Sanballat in the north, the Arabs in the south, the Ammonites in the east, and Ashdod in the west. And these enemies had spies everywhere, even in Jerusalem. Nehemiah chapter 4, 1-3 says, when Sanballat heard that the Jews were rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem, he got very angry, incensed, and began to ridicule the Jews. And in the presence of his associates in the army of Samaria, he said, what are those feeble Jews doing? Will they restore their wall? Will they offer sacrifices? Will they finish in a day? Can they bring the stones back to life from those heaps of rubble, burned as they are? And then Tobiah the Ammonite joins in to ridicule the Jews, saying, what they are building, even a fox climbing up on it would break down their wall of stones. Sanballat and his evil gang thought that their ridicule and mockery would stop the Jews from building the walls. But when they heard that the Jews had not given up and that they were still building and the gaps in the walls were gradually closing up, they became even more angry. So they decided to make a plot to attack the Jews while they were building the walls. And there were some Jews who lived near these enemies. And these Jews came to the people of Judah 10 times and began to tell them that their enemies were ready to attack at any moment. So the people of Judah, some of them became afraid and stopped working for a while. Yes, the people of Judah prayed to God and poured out all the anxieties to Him. Yet they did more than that. Nehemiah comes up with a military strategy. He arms everyone, every family, and encourages them to fight. If we read Nehemiah chapter 4, verse 14, Nehemiah gives a rallying cry to the people, saying, don't be afraid of them. Remember the Lord who is great and awesome, and fight for your families, your sons and your daughters, your wives and your homes. In verse 20, he adds, our God will fight for us. You see, Nehemiah was not asking the people of Judah to go to the enemy's territory and fight them. No, he was asking them to defend themselves. It was a self-defense preparation. Oh, thankfully, when the enemies heard that the Jews were ready to fight and that their plans had been revealed by their God, the people of Judah got encouragement and returned to their work. And from that day onwards, the Bible says that half of the men worked while the other half stood guarding the people. Those who were carrying the building materials were working with one hand, while in the other hand they were holding weapons. And even they stood guard at night to protect the people. The story also tells us that Nehemiah, his guards, his servants did not take off their clothes except for washing. What a dedication and commitment from Nehemiah and his men. Dear friends, the commitment and dedication of Nehemiah and the people of Judah is a great lesson for us today. We cannot just sit back and relax and let God do everything. God expects us to do what we can, and He will do the rest. The story of Nehemiah is also a reminder for each one of us of the power of unity. When God's people come together in unity and work for God, nothing is impossible. Dear friends, today when we look at our beloved country and look at the task of the Gospel Commission, it may seem daunting, an impossible task. But if we all join together in unity, in TMI, in total member involvement, this task is not impossible. It is possible. The gospel can be and will be preached to every person in this country. I pray that the Lord will grant us this perfect unity among us to carry forward His gospel.